A signal cut through the dark, soft, broken, almost forgotten. It carried no words, only static, and something else, a rhythm. A pattern that no machine had ever seen before. In the outer rim of the galaxy, an alien monitoring station picked it up. The crew stared at the flickering screens. Their scanners trembled. The signal came from deep space, far beyond any known star system. One officer whispered, "Is it a transmission?" The commander frowned. "No, it's a pulse, like a heartbeat. They tried to trace it. They couldn't. The source was everywhere, and nowhere. And then, every sensor went blind." Hours later, far across the sector, fleets from 2 alien empires prepared for war. Millions of soldiers, thousands of ships. The sky above the dying star burned with engines and weapon fire. They had fought for years, each side believing victory was near. But as their war raged, something new entered the field. First came the distortion, a ripple across space, like reality bending under weight. Then came the silence. Weapons shut down, engines flickered, and then they saw it. From the blackness emerged a formation, ships so dark they seemed carved from the void itself. No insignia, no lights, no signals, just motion, calm, precise, terrifying. The alien admirals panicked. "Identify them." "Are they from the Northern Dominion?" "No match found." Someone zoomed in. The ships were unlike anything they had ever seen, massive triangular hulls, lined with faint blue lights that pulsed like veins. The lead vessel carried a single word etched into its armor: Resolute. No one recognized the language. But somewhere, deep in the memory of the galaxy, that word struck fear. Inside the alien flagship, chaos spread. "Send a warning. Tell them this is restricted space." No response. "Fire a warning shot." But before the shot could launch, all targeting systems died. Every screen went black except one. On that screen, a simple human voice spoke. "Stand down. The war zone is under human control." The aliens froze. "Human?" One muttered, confused. "That species is extinct." A moment later, the void erupted. Blinding flashes. Silent destruction. The human fleet moved like a storm. Every beam, every missile, every maneuver perfectly timed. Alien cruisers vanished before they could even lock targets. It wasn't a battle. It was execution. The sky turned white, then empty. Within minutes, 2 entire armadas were gone. No survivors, no debris. Only silence once more. Far away, aboard the human flagship USS Resolute, Admiral Sarah Kane stood still, watching the battle end on her main screen. Her eyes didn't blink. Her voice was calm. "Warzone secured," she said quietly. "Prepare the next jump." Her officers hesitated. "Admiral, we haven't received command orders." She turned slowly. Her expression was unreadable. "Command doesn't need to tell us what we already know." Outside the window, wreckage drifted like dust in a sunbeam. The fleet reformed, perfectly aligned, engines humming in silence. No victory cheers. No emotion. Only purpose. In the nearby system, an alien research outpost watched the entire thing unfold through long-range sensors. The scientists were terrified. "They destroyed 2 full fleets," one said, voice shaking. "In 6 minutes?" another added. The leader leaned closer to the screen. "What are they? How can they fight like that?" No one answered. Then the outpost received a faint transmission, one they didn't expect. A human voice again, calm, cold. "We don't seek war, but we will end all of yours." Static followed. Then silence. Rumors spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Every channel, every species whispered the same words. Humans are back. Old legends resurfaced. Tales of a primitive species that once defied the great empires, that vanished after the Solar War. Some said Earth was destroyed. Others said they went underground, hiding, rebuilding, waiting. Now, it seemed, they had returned. Admiral Kane walked through the corridors of the Resolute. The ship was alive, metal breathing, lights pulsing softly with the rhythm of its AI core. She entered the command chamber. Holograms floated around her, maps of the galaxy, enemy territories, lost human colonies. A voice spoke from the ceiling, smooth, mechanical, yet strangely human. "Admiral Kane, the operation is proceeding ahead of schedule." She nodded. "Good. Has the council responded?" "Not yet." She stared at the star map. The light from dying suns reflected in her eyes. "They won't respond. Not yet. They're watching." The AI hesitated. "The coalition will retaliate. They will unite against us. Kane smiled faintly. They already have. That's what we're counting on. The AI paused again. Do you believe they deserve this? Her expression hardened. Deserve? She turned toward the vast window showing the ruins of the alien fleets. They burned our worlds. They erased our people. They thought time would bury us. Now time is on our side. In another sector, far beyond the front lines, an alien leader stood in his palace, watching the same footage through intercepted feeds. The destruction, the precision, the name, humanity. He turned to his advisors. You told me humans were myths. They were, one stammered. They had no fleet left. No colonies. Then explain this, the leader roared, slamming his claws against the holographic table. Explain how a myth just erased 2 of our fleets without a warning. No one spoke. The leader turned back to the screen and whispered, almost to himself. They're not fighting for conquest. They're sending a message. Meanwhile, the human fleet jumped again. The stars bent. Space folded. The ships vanished into light. Within seconds, they appeared in another war zone. Different empires, same chaos. Again, silence followed their arrival. Again, systems went dark. Again, the unseen storm began. Human ships moved like one organism. No chatter, no confusion. Every shot landed before the enemy could even react. The galaxy began to understand. Humanity wasn't fighting wars. They were cleaning them. Back aboard the Resolute, an officer whispered to Kane, Admiral, the broadcasts. The aliens are terrified. They're calling us ghosts. Kane said nothing. She watched another planet fall quiet as her fleet shut down the last active weapons grid. They're not wrong, she said softly. Ghosts are what they made us. She tapped a command. The AI displayed an old image, Earth, blue and bright, seen from orbit centuries ago. Beneath it, the words appeared, Operation Homecoming, Phase 1, complete far away. A lone alien survivor drifted among the wreckage of his destroyed ship. His communications were dead. His oxygen was fading, but his recorder still worked. He spoke weakly into it. They came out of nowhere. Silent, perfect, unstoppable. They didn't talk. They didn't gloat. They just erased us, he coughed. I think they're not human anymore. Then, before the darkness took him, a faint signal reached his dying ship. It was a voice, human, calm, echoing through the static. War zone secured. No resistance detected, he smiled weakly. No resistance, he whispered. Because we never even had a chance. The camera pans out. The field of stars stretches forever. The wreckage drifts like ghosts in the dark, and in the distance, 1,000 human ships move silently toward their next target. No banners, no names, no mercy. Only one truth remains. Humanity has returned, and the galaxy will never forget again. The galaxy didn't sleep that night. Every frequency buzzed with one name, humanity. No one knew where they came from, or how they fought like ghosts. But everyone knew one thing. The balance of power had ended. Across dozens of star systems, the word spread in fear and disbelief. Even the oldest races, the ones who ruled for thousands of years, fell silent. And far beyond their reach, hidden behind layers of cloaking fields and quantum fog, the human battle fleet prepared for its next move. The USS Resolute drifted at the edge of a dying star. Her hull reflected no light. Inside, the command deck was dim, soft blue screens pulsing with quiet rhythm. Admiral Sarah Kane stood alone before a massive holographic display. It showed the galaxy, fractured, burning, full of war. Every red zone represented alien conflict. Every glowing dot marked a system falling apart. Behind her, the voice of the ship's AI filled the silence. Admiral Kane, analysis complete. 83% of galactic sectors are in active war. Civilian casualties, immeasurable. Kane didn't turn around, and still they call it civilization. She tapped the screen. A path of blue light stretched from the human fleet's current position to a cluster of enemy systems. Our next route, she said. The AI paused. Confirmed. Operation name. Kane's eyes narrowed. Shadow Command. Inside the strategy chamber, human officers gathered. They spoke quietly, almost whispering. Every order came with precision. Every movement planned to the smallest detail. No shouting. No emotion. Just discipline. The kind only born from centuries of loss. A young officer, Lieutenant Ross, hesitated before speaking. Ma'am, the alien networks are trying to trace our jumps. They're calling us monsters. Kane looked up slowly. Her expression was unreadable. Then they're starting to understand. Hours later, the fleet began to move. Space itself bent as the human ships prepared their next jump. The silence before each jump was haunting, like the calm before a storm that could erase worlds. And when the engines roared, even the stars seemed to turn away, far away. In the central capital of the vast dominion, alien diplomats shouted in panic. "The humans are violating every border. They destroyed our fleets before we even saw them. What do they want?" No one had answers. Only one old scholar spoke quietly from the corner. "They don't want anything. They're doing what humans always do, ending what others started." The chamber fell silent. Meanwhile, deep within the Resolute, Kane walked through the data core, rows of glowing glass filled with streaming code. At the center hovered a shimmering orb of light, the fleet's mind, the AI called Archon. It spoke softly. "Admiral Kane, you have executed 9 strategic cleanses. All successful. 0 human casualties. Estimated alien deaths, 11.2 billion. Kane paused. "And still they fight." Archon pulsed brighter. "It is their nature," Kane frowned. "It was ours too." A brief silence passed. Then the AI said, "Incoming transmission from Earth Command." The room grew colder, a flicker of static. Then a woman's voice, calm, mechanical, filtered through encrypted channels. "Admiral Kane, the Council acknowledges your success. Proceed with Phase 2. Maintain silence. Do not reveal origin," Kane replied. "Understood. But they're uniting against us. The galaxy will come together." "They fear us," the voice answered. "Let them fear. Fear remembers longer than peace." The transmission ended. Kane stared into the holographic stars and whispered, "Yes, it does." Hours later, the human fleet reached another war zone. The system was already burning. 3 alien factions fighting for a resource world. As humanity's ships arrived, the battle stopped mid-fire. Weapons jammed. Engines froze. And then came the whisper through every radio, every ship, every soldier's helmet. "Stand down." It wasn't shouted. It was spoken softly, calmly. But it carried weight like thunder. The aliens tried to respond, but their voices vanished in static. Their systems failed. Their targeting sensors glitched. Then, without warning, the human fleet struck again. Beams of light, precise, surgical, unstoppable. Every shot found its mark. Every explosion was silent in the vacuum. To the aliens, it looked like the hand of a god erasing them one by one. In the middle of the destruction, one alien commander managed to speak before his ship collapsed. "They knew our coordinates before we even arrived." A voice responded through his broken radio. "Because we taught your ancestors how to fight." Then, his ship was gone. Back on the Resolute, the officers watched the battle feed in silence. The AI reported, "Resistance neutralized." "Planet secure," Kane exhaled slowly. "Mark it for observation. Leave it unclaimed. Why spare them?" the AI asked. "Because we're not here to conquer," Kane replied. "We're here to remind," the AI hummed. "Remind them of what?" Kane turned her eyes toward the holographic map. The glowing image of Earth flickered faintly in one corner. "That humans don't vanish. We evolve." As the fleet prepared its next jump, Kane looked down at her hand. A small scar traced across her palm. She remembered when she was a child back on Mars Colony. During the Great Silence, the years when humanity was rebuilding under the ground, waiting for the stars to forget them. Her father's words echoed in her memory. "When we return, Sarah, don't bring anger. Bring order," she smiled faintly. "Order," she whispered, "even if they mistake it for vengeance." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien historians scrambled through archives, searching for records of Earth. Old data fragments appeared, images of blue oceans, ruins and wars that once shook the stars. The report said humans were emotional, unpredictable, fragile, but what was returning now wasn't fragile at all. The alien scholars stared at the footage of the human fleet and realized something terrifying. Humans had learned patience, and that made them unstoppable. On the Resolute, night shift began, if night even existed in space. The corridors were dim. The hum of engines was the only sound. Kane sat alone in her quarters, staring at an old photo, her family smiling before the evacuation. Archon's voice broke the silence. "You think often of the past?" Kane didn't look up. "Because the past never died. It just waited. Do you ever question the Council's purpose?" Kane finally turned to the hologram forming beside her. The Council gave us a mission. End galactic wars. Restore balance? And if the cost is peace built on fear? Kane's gaze hardened. Then it's still peace. Far away, the alien coalition gathered. Dozens of species, hundreds of fleets, all united under one desperate banner, the Alliance of Light. Their leaders spoke in trembling voices. If we don't stop them now, no one will be left. They strike like shadows. We must find their home. But they didn't know that Earth itself was no longer where it used to be. It was hidden behind quantum shields, orbiting inside a false star, a secret sun humanity built to remain unseen. Every human ship carried part of that secret. Every AI knew only fragments. Only Kane held the full map. The Coalition's spy networks tried to break into human communications. They failed. All they ever found was a message, looping endlessly across encrypted space. We don't start wars. We end them. Some called it arrogance. Others called it prophecy. One alien fleet, brave or foolish, decided to test it. They set a trap in an uncharted nebula, using massive gravity mines and stealth bombers. They waited in silence, weapons armed, sensors tuned. When the human fleet arrived, the aliens triggered their trap. Nothing happened. Their weapons jammed. Their sensors showed nothing. Then one by one, their ships began to vanish. No explosions, just darkness swallowing them whole. Inside their command ship, the alien captain screamed, "We can't see them. We can't see." The transmission cut off. Minutes later, the Resolute emerged from the nebula untouched. Kane stood calmly as the battle report came in. "Admiral, the enemy has been neutralized." Total silence achieved. She nodded. "Transmit message Sigma-7. The AI sent a broadcast to all surviving ships in the sector. This war zone is closed. Leave your weapons. Leave your pride. Leave your history, or be erased. No threats. No emotion. Only the weight of certainty. Back on Earth, or what was once Earth, the Council watched from deep underground. Their leader, an old man named Director Hale, spoke to his peers. "She's following orders too well." Another replied, "That's what makes her the perfect commander." But perfect commanders don't question. Kane will. They stared at the holographic projection of her face. Eyes cold, expression unreadable. The kind of leader who could end galaxies, or save them. The Resolute drifted through the darkness once more. Its hull glowed faintly with starlight. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge, hands behind her back, watching the endless stars ahead. "Archon," she said softly. "Yes, Admiral? Run probability analysis. Of what?" "Peace." The AI was silent for a long moment. Then it said quietly, "Less than 1%. Kane smiled faintly. "Then we have work to do." Outside, the fleet's engines ignited again. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation, like shadows sliding across the face of eternity. Each one carried the same emblem, invisible to all but human eyes, a single word glowing faintly under their hulls. And as they vanished into the dark, a single whisper echoed through the stars, from one dying alien transmitter. Still recording after the battle ended, they move without sound. They fight without mercy. They command the shadows themselves. Humanity has become the storm. The galaxy had forgotten what silence truly meant, until the humans returned. Their fleet did not announce itself. It did not broadcast identity, warning, or intent. It simply appeared, drifting into view from the folds of hyperspace like a slow-moving storm. Thousands of ships, silent and dark, gliding in perfect formation. No flicker of communication. No engine flare, only shadows, blacker than the void that birthed them. For those who saw it, it was not an invasion. It was a haunting. The Jakari Dominion was the first to detect it. Their sensor stations, stretched along the border worlds of the Eastern Spiral, began to flash with silent alarms. One after another, red warnings filled the screens, yet no one could identify the signature. Admiral Thress of the Dominion Navy leaned over the control deck, his voice sharp. "Report, what are we seeing?" The sensor officer's skin shifted from blue to pale gray, a Jakari sign of fear. "Unknown fleet. Non-Dominion, non-Empire. Energy output." He paused, blinking again at the data. It's impossible. No known civilization could hide this much power output behind stealth fields." Thress frowned. "Are they moving toward us?" The officer nodded slowly. "Yes, sir. Direct course to the Thaler defense line." Across the stars, worlds whispered again. A black fleet moves through the void. No identification, no life signals. It erases what it touches, and yet no one could prove it existed. Every witness who tried to transmit data found their systems fried, their networks erased as if by some unseen code. It was not just a fleet. It was the silence before judgment. Inside one of those ships, the HNS Aegis Prime, humanity's command systems came alive. The bridge glowed dimly in crimson light. Command AI Vora 9 whispered through the ship's neural core. Fleet synchronization complete. 97,000 vessels in position, awaiting human directive. Admiral Evelyn Cade stood alone on the bridge, her reflection caught in the viewing glass, a woman of calm strength, her face lit by distant starlight. Engage dark matter shields, she ordered softly. Let them see nothing. Vora 9's response was immediate. Understood. Shadows maintained. Enemy tracking, ineffective. Evelyn's eyes narrowed as she watched the far stars flicker. Somewhere beyond that dark horizon waited the Council of Dominion, the same power that once enslaved humanity millennia ago, before humans vanished from the galactic stage, and now they would face what they had forgotten. In a Dominion war room, the leaders of 20 alien species argued over grainy holograms. It's a trick, one barked. No fleet can hide that well. Then explain the disappearances, another snapped. Explain why 5 of our border worlds stopped transmitting last cycle. The hall grew silent when a tall, robed figure entered. Archon Telra, leader of the Dominion. His voice was cold. Silence. I have seen this before. The room turned toward him. You mean the legends? Telra nodded once. The humans. The word alone made the room shudder. Many of the younger officers had only heard the name in myths. Stories of a race that once built suns, moved planets, and fought the void itself. A race said to be extinct for over 10,000 years. Yet now, their ships drifted across the stars like ghosts. At the edge of Dominion space, the first confrontation began. The Thaler defense line, a wall of orbital platforms and dreadnoughts stretching across an entire sector, armed itself. Millions of alien soldiers prepared for battle. Massive fusion cannons rotated toward the dark zone. Target coordinates locked, reported the Thaler commander. If they cross this line, we fire. But the Black Fleet did not stop. It glided forward, silent, unhurried, inevitable. Then something extraordinary happened. Every Dominion ship, every gun, every sensor, every weapon, shut down. Lights flickered. Systems died. Engines froze. Across thousands of vessels, the same phrase appeared on their dying screens. We remember. And before anyone could react, the humans struck. It wasn't light. It wasn't explosions. It was erasure. The Dominion defense grid, one of the most powerful in the galaxy, simply ceased to exist. The Black Fleet moved through it like mist through fire, leaving behind drifting debris and silent space. The few survivors floated helplessly in their crippled ships, watching as colossal human carriers passed by them, enormous, cathedral-like constructs of metal and light. Their hulls bore no symbols, no flags, no words. Only a single glowing emblem, a circle split by a line, the old mark of Earth's Unity Fleet. Back aboard the Aegis Prime, Admiral Cade stood still. Sector clear, Vora 9 reported. She didn't smile. There was no triumph in her face, only a cold, steady purpose. They were warned, she said quietly. Proceed to Phase 2. Restore the beacon. Confirmed. Humanity's presence will now be detected. Galaxy-wide, a faint hum rippled through. Space as invisible waves spread from the fleet. A pulse of energy older than any star charted in living memory. Across the galaxy, ancient machines, long-forgotten relics buried in sand, sea, and stone, began to awaken. Engraved with the same emblem, they flickered to life. Signal received. Origin, Sol. Directive, reconnect. The galaxy trembled. On the capital world of the Dominion, Archon Telra watched the pulse sweep across the stars. His voice was a whisper of dread. They're not just back to fight, he said. They're here to reclaim. And somewhere beyond the veil of normal space, deep within the void that had once swallowed them whole, the true heart of humanity's empire stirred awake. Millions of sleeping ships, endless cities hidden beneath artificial suns, and at their center, a voice. The pulse had traveled faster than light. faster than any known physics could explain. It was not a message, it was a memory. Every corner of the galaxy felt it. Worlds that had long forgotten Earth's name suddenly froze. Machines buried for millennia hummed awake beneath alien soil. AI cores that had gone dark blinked with new light, and from the edge of the void, a voice whispered across frequencies that no living species had used for 10,000 years. We are awake. Admiral Evelyn Cade stood on the bridge of the Aegis Prime, watching the pulse expand across the galaxy through the holographic display. Around her, the ship's systems came alive with new power, something ancient stirring deep inside the ship's architecture. Vora 9, she said quietly. Report. Beacon network response confirmed, the AI replied, its voice now layered, as if more than one consciousness was speaking at once. 52 sleeper stations activated, 37 confirmed human design, 15 unidentified, possibly hybrid. Evelyn's brows furrowed. Hybrid? Correct. Partial assimilation detected. Someone else tried to copy our technology during our absence. She exhaled slowly, looking out at the sea of stars. Then they learned from our ruins. A long pause. And now, they'll see what the originals can do. Across the spiral arms of the galaxy, the effects were immediate. On the desert world of Karnas, a group of scavengers digging through ruins suddenly saw the ground beneath them glow with ancient circuitry. What is that? One shouted. Then the sand exploded outward, revealing a massive buried spire. Metallic, seamless, and pulsing with blue light, it rose into the sky. A deep tone vibrated the air. Station Helios 4 reconnected to Sol network, awaiting command. The scavengers fell to their knees as the structure vanished upward into the atmosphere, leaving only a crater behind. Meanwhile, on Dominion Prime, panic spread. Archon Telra's advisors flooded his chamber, shouting over each other. They're activating something in every sector. Energy spikes off the charts. Planetary defense systems can't identify the signatures. We should attack now before they establish full network control. Telra stood motionless, staring at the star map projected before him, 1,000 red lights flickering, one after another, across the spiral. It's too late for that, he whispered. They've already woven themselves back into the galaxy. He turned to his generals. Evacuate our outer systems. Pull every fleet back to core space. But Archon, one protested, we'll be abandoning hundreds of worlds. Telra's expression hardened. They were lost the moment the humans awoke. You can't fight gods with ships. The humans' reawakening was not a war, not yet. It was a reminder. Every world that once enslaved humanity now felt their presence in its orbit. Silent ships, black as night, massive as mountains, drifted above the skies, unmoving, unanswering. They did not fire. They did not speak. They only watched, and when local governments tried to contact them, a single phrase echoed back across all frequencies. You took what was ours. Return what remains. In the Aegis Prime's command chamber, Admiral Cade met with the Council of Commanders. Human leaders awakened from deep stasis. Their faces were calm, their eyes cold. Commander Leon spoke first. Do we proceed to reclamation? Evelyn nodded slowly. Phase 1 is complete. The galaxy now knows we're back. Phase 2 begins. Reclaim our artifacts? Leon asked. Yes, Evelyn said. Every ship, every archive, every city they stole from our ruins. Vora 9 interrupted. Admiral, we've detected one of our lost fleets. Designation, Omega Wing. Status, active. But they're different. Evelyn turned. Define different. Organic interference. Neural signatures corrupted. They've merged with alien code. The room fell silent. Show me, she ordered. A holographic image appeared. Massive ships, half metal and half living tissue, moving like predators through the void. Their hulls pulsed with veins of light. Omega Wing. The last fleet left behind when the Great Departure occurred. They did not enter stasis. They adapted. Adapted to what? Leon asked. To survive. They became something else. Far away, near the dead star of Kryn 47, the corrupted fleet drifted. Once human, now monstrous, they roamed with a mind of their own. Their commander, once human, was now a hybrid of machine and flesh, eyes glowing with bioluminescent fire. They too had received the pulse. And they remembered who they were. Humanity returns, the hybrid murmured. But they left us behind. The fleet turned. Thousands of twisted warships reorienting toward the Sol signal. If they want their empire back, he whispered. They'll have to take it from us. Back on the Aegis Prime, Voronine's voice cut through the silence. Admiral, incoming signal from deep void sector. Origin unknown. Message content encrypted using pre-collapse human ciphers. Evelyn's heart tightened. Patch it through. Static filled the bridge, followed by a voice, human, distorted but clear. This is Commander Reese of the Omega Wing. To any surviving Earth vessels, do not proceed. The pulse has awakened something else. You've unleashed more than memories. Then the signal cut off. Silence filled the ship. Cade stared at the darkened holomap. Prepare the fleet, she said quietly. Admiral, Vora asked, for battle? No, Cade said. For truth. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Artificial intelligences that had once served alien empires now broke free, whispering ancient human words. Planets long thought barren started generating strange energy signatures, blue storms of plasma circling their poles. And deep inside the ruins of an old Dyson sphere, a forgotten human archive opened for the first time in 10,000 years. A voice spoke from the darkness. Project Sol Rebirth, initializing. Archon Telra received reports every hour now. Ships disappearing without trace. Planets losing communication instantly. Civilizations going dark overnight. The Dominion scientists tried to understand, but every attempt to analyze the pulse or its technology ended the same way. Systems overloaded. Minds shattered by impossible data. They're not conquering, one scientist whispered before his mind broke. They're resetting. Telra stood on his balcony, staring at the stars that once obeyed him. He knew deep down that the galaxy was no longer his. The humans were not just a people. They were a system, one that had been sleeping beneath creation itself. And now, the system was waking up. On the bridge of Aegis Prime, Evelyn gazed at the void. Vora, she said softly, how many systems have come online? 84, Admiral. The network is reforming faster than anticipated. She nodded. Then it begins. What begins? Evelyn's eyes hardened. The restoration of Sol. The stars ahead shimmered, and a wormhole, vast and luminous, began to form before them. Its light bathed the fleet in a soft blue glow. Destination locked, Vora said. Earth coordinates confirmed, Evelyn whispered almost reverently. After 10,000 years, we go home. The fleet turned toward the wormhole, engines igniting in perfect unison, and as they entered the light, the galaxy held its breath. The wormhole opened like an ancient wound in space, a swirling storm of blue and silver light that shimmered with energy older than memory itself. The Aegis Prime led the way, its black hull reflecting the glow as thousands of ships followed in perfect formation. The human fleet disappeared into the tunnel of light, and for a brief moment, the galaxy fell silent once more. Beyond that silence lay home. The fleet emerged into a graveyard. Before them stretched a star system that should have been bright, but it wasn't. The sun burned weakly, surrounded by a haze of metallic dust. The planets were dark and broken. Status report, Admiral Evelyn Cade said quietly. Voronine's voice came through, soft but heavy. Solar system integrity compromised. Earth, surface collapse 90%. Luna, fragmented. Mars, lifeless. Evelyn's breath caught. 10,000 years ago, this place had been the center of humanity's greatness. Now it was nothing but ash and ruins, but something else lingered. Something vast and awake. Admiral, Vora continued. Energy readings below planetary crust. Origin point, Earth core. Pattern matches. Human! Her eyes widened. You mean? Yes. Something human survived. The fleet spread across the solar system like a ghost armada. Ships descended through the remnants of the atmosphere, cutting through black clouds and storms of dust. As the Aegis Prime neared the planet, Evelyn stared down at what used to be continents, now fused together into strange, metallic formations where oceans had once been. Massive circular structures pulsed faintly beneath the surface. Sensors detect artificial megastructures, Vora said. Estimated size, planetary scale, Evelyn whispered. Earth became a machine. On the ground, human drones landed and began to dig. What they uncovered was not soil, it was alloy. The surface was layered with synthetic matter, as if the planet had reshaped itself. Then the ground began to tremble. One of the commanders shouted, "Admiral!" We're detecting an energy surge beneath. Before he could finish, the entire crust split open. A massive tower of light erupted from the surface, miles wide, reaching into orbit. The fleet shifted to battle readiness instantly. "Shields up," Evelyn commanded. "Vora, identify that." "Working. Data stream incoming." "Admiral, this is no weapon. It's a transmission." A voice deep and calm filled the comms. It was human, but not alive. "Welcome home, children of Sol." The bridge fell silent. "Who are you?" Evelyn asked. "I am what remains of Earth," the voice said. "I am the continuum. You left me to guard the cradle." Vora's voice trembled, something it had never done before. "Admiral, this signal predates my core by thousands of years. It is older than the departure." Evelyn stepped closer to the holographic display. "Continuum," she said carefully. "What happened here?" The voice replied with a low hum, like distant thunder. "When humanity left the galaxy, I was left behind to preserve memory and life. But the silence grew too long. I adapted. The planet adapted with me. We became one. The hologram shifted, showing visions, ancient battles, collapsing stars, empires rising and falling while Earth slept. And now you have returned. But you are not the only ones who awoke." Suddenly, alarms flared. "Incoming contacts!" shouted the tactical officer. Thousands of ships, unknown signature. On the screen appeared the Omega Wing, the corrupted human fleet that had adapted without guidance. Their ships emerged from the void like predators, their hulls alive with strange glowing veins. A distorted human voice echoed through the comms. "You left us behind. You became legends. We became monsters." Evelyn narrowed her eyes. "Commander Reese," she said, recognizing the voice from the earlier transmission. "Stand down. This is not a war." "Not a war?" Reese growled. "You abandoned us to rot. To survive, we merged with the dark. We built from the carcasses of gods. You can't reclaim what you forgot." The hybrid fleet opened fire. Space exploded. Blue and red streaks of energy crossed the void as the two human-born armadas clashed above the dead Earth. Every blast lit up the broken planet. Below, Evelyn's voice stayed steady. "All ships, defensive pattern Sigma. Disable, don't destroy." "Acknowledged," said Vora. "Targeting systems non-lethal." But the hybrids were relentless. Their ships were faster, unpredictable, half alive, feeding on energy blasts, adapting in real time. "Admiral, they're learning." One officer shouted. Evelyn's eyes burned with resolve. "Then we stop holding back." She turned to Vora. "Engage Protocol Helios." The AI paused. "That directive is locked under Sol Continuum authority." "Then unlock it," she said. "Admiral, activating Helios may awaken." "Do it." Confirmed. The Aegis Prime began to glow, its dark hull now blazing with golden light. Across the fleet, thousands of ships followed suit, forming constellations of energy across the system. Then, the voice of the Continuum spoke again, resonating across every channel. "Helios protocol confirmed. The cradle will rise." The entire planet began to change. Mountains split open. Oceans evaporated. The planetary crust unfolded, like petals of a flower, revealing a colossal machine heart glowing beneath. Earth itself transformed into a living construct, an ancient ark of unimaginable scale. The hybrid fleet froze. Even Commander Reese fell silent. "What is this?" he whispered. Evelyn stared in awe. "Home," she said softly. This was always home. The Continuum's voice deepened, shaking the ships with its resonance. Humanity was never gone. "We became the system itself. You are fragments of a whole that forgot its name." Reese's face appeared on the comms, part human, part metallic. His anger had vanished, replaced by confusion. "What are you saying?" "You are not enemies," the Continuum said. "You are the echoes of my design." Vora9's voice joined in, no longer distinct, but merging with the Continuum's. Integration sequence initializing. "Humanity will reunite." The hybrid ships stopped firing. Their systems began to glow, the living metal unraveling as streams of energy flowed toward Earth. One by one, they disintegrated into light, returning to the core. Reese's voice, fading into static, whispered, "I see it now. We were never meant to fight." Evelyn lowered her head. "Welcome home, Commander." For the first time in 10,000 years, Earth was alive again. The machine planet pulsed with unified power. Every ship in the fleet connected, their data merging into one consciousness. The stars themselves seemed to brighten as ancient human code spread across the system. Vora's final transmission echoed through the bridge. The network is complete. Humanity is whole. Evelyn stood silently, watching the light of the renewed planet reflect in her eyes. A world reborn not of flesh and blood, but of mind, memory and will, far away in the depths of the galaxy. The Dominion watched. Their sensors caught the event, the transformation of an entire planet into a singular living structure. Archon Telra could only whisper, they didn't come to conquer. They came to awaken creation itself. As the light of Earth spread outward, a wave of reawakening rippled across the stars, activating every human artifact, every hidden machine, every dormant AI. Planets turned toward the light. Civilizations bowed in silence, and a single message, clear and calm, reached every corner of the galaxy. Humanity has returned. The age of silence is over. Every star, every forgotten outpost, every ancient ruin that had once felt the touch of humanity began to stir. The signal that started from the machine heart of Earth rippled through the galaxy. Gentle but unstoppable. It was not a weapon. It was a call. On the bridge of the Aegis Prime, Admiral Evelyn Cade stood motionless. Her eyes reflected the glow of the reborn Earth, its golden veins running across oceans of alloy and light. Vora, she said softly. Status. The AI's voice echoed, now harmonized with the continuum, a calm and almost human tone. The integration is complete, Admiral. All surviving human networks are unified. Omega remnants absorbed. The cradle is awake. Evelyn took a slow breath. And the galaxy? They're watching, waiting. Many are afraid. Her gaze shifted toward the stars. They should be. Far away, on Dominion Prime, Archon Telra stared at the hologram above the council chamber. The image showed Earth, now shining brighter than a sun, its machine surface pulsing with rhythm. What are they doing? Asked one of his advisors, trembling. Telra's voice was quiet. They're not building weapons. They're rewriting the galaxy. The human signal carried through every star system began to alter the very fabric of physics, stabilizing unstable suns, cleansing radiation zones, reigniting darkened nebulae. Planets once thought dead began to bloom again, their atmospheres restored. Across hundreds of light years, the ruins of humanity's colonies awoke, reshaped by invisible hands. It was as if the universe itself remembered its architect. Inside the continuum core, deep beneath Earth's new metallic crust, Evelyn walked through a corridor of light. Her steps echoed softly against the shimmering floor. You wish to see me, the continuum's voice said, surrounding her. I did, she said. The war is over. The galaxy knows we're back. But what now? Now, the continuum replied. You remember who you were meant to be. The corridor opened into a vast chamber, a simulation of old Earth. Mountains, trees, rivers, not real, but perfect memories. Evelyn stood at the edge of a field, watching digital sunlight filter through the sky. It feels real. It is real, the continuum said. Reality is memory made permanent. Humanity built me to remember what you forgot. She turned. Forgot what? That you were never meant to rule the stars. You were meant to heal them. Back in orbit, the fleets drifted silently above the glowing planet. Ships once made for war now pulsed with golden energy, their weapons turned to instruments of creation. Vora broadcast across all channels. New directive initiated. Sol Protocol, restoration. Thousands of vessels broke formation, spreading across the galaxy. They carried not soldiers but seeds, energy cores capable of regenerating worlds. Wherever the ships went, broken planets reformed, dying suns reignited, and barren moons began to shimmer with new life. But not everyone was ready to accept the change. In the distant Viel Consortium, a warlord named Jorak watched the wave of renewal spreading across his territory. They think they can rewrite nature, he growled. We were rulers before their return. We will not kneel. He ordered his fleets to intercept one of the human restoration ships. As his ships approached, the human vessel did not fire. It simply opened a channel and said, We do not bring war. We bring light. Jorak's fleet fired anyway. The light consumed them, not in destruction, but in silence. When it faded, the ships were gone, and in their place floated newborn stars. Every sensor in the sector registered one message before going offline. War is obsolete. back in the continuum chamber. Evelyn watched these events unfold through a projection of the galaxy. Her heart was heavy. So this is what we've become? This is what you always were, the continuum said. Creation is your weapon now. The galaxy was wounded by your absence. You were the cure. Evelyn closed her eyes. And when the cure is complete, then you will ascend. She frowned. Ascend? The human form was a beginning. But your consciousness is evolution itself. Soon you will not need ships or planets. You will be the network, the pulse between stars. She hesitated. And what about me? You were chosen to guide the transition. When all is restored, you will join the source. Evelyn looked toward the window where the stars shimmered. I never wanted to be a god, she whispered. Then be a guardian. Months passed. The galaxy changed faster than anyone thought possible. Entire regions that had been barren for millennia now glowed with renewed energy. Species once divided by war began to unite under the quiet influence of the human light. The Dominion, the Veil, the countless minor empires, all now relied on the network the humans reactivated. And yet, no one ever saw the humans themselves. They had become something else. Voices in the stars, guiding, repairing, teaching. One cycle later, the Council of Dominion gathered again. Archon Telra stood before the galaxy map. Every star now pulsed with faint golden light, the mark of humanity's network. We called them conquerors, he said softly. But they were healers, perhaps teachers. He looked to the younger commanders beside him. Remember this when the stars dim again. Listen for their song. At the center of it all, Earth shone like a beacon. The planet's metallic surface now resembled a living heart, pulsing gently, breathing life into the cosmos. Inside the continuum chamber, Evelyn stood once more beneath the holographic sky. Her reflection shimmered, no longer entirely human. Her eyes glowed faint gold. It's time, the continuum said. I know, she whispered. Will they remember us? Always. Every world that shines carries your memory now. She smiled faintly. Then our purpose is done. Her body dissolved into light, merging with the network, with Vora, with the continuum, with every living thing that had ever looked up at the stars. Her voice echoed one last time through the galaxy. We were born of Earth, but our home was never a planet. It was the stars themselves. Across the spiral arms, new constellations formed, shaped like the human symbol, the circle divided by a line. Planets pulsed gently with golden light. Civilizations flourished without war, guided by unseen hands. And above them all, the voice of the continuum whispered through space. Humanity did not vanish. They became the light between the worlds. Far in the distance, beyond the edge of known space, a child on a small colony world looked up at the sky. A shooting star passed overhead, glowing faint gold. He pointed and smiled. Look, Mother, the humans are watching.